What's up, Knucklehead? I am Lupine Fiasco, and this is your daily FaB gameplay. For anyone who's new to the channel, welcome to the jungle. What we do here is review replays of games that I played on the Talishar client days or weeks ago after enough time has passed that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my play. I'll talk through turn cycles and give my thoughts on the line I would take now compared to the line I took then at the time of recording. We either learn from my mistakes or reinforce good play patterns with the overall goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future to take down paper events like the upcoming US Nationals and, most importantly, walk away with that shiny cardboard. If you would like to check out the deck I'm playing here or try it for yourself on Talishar, there is a FaB deck link available in the video description below. While you're down there, if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. A YouTube subscription is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see daily FaB gameplay in your video feed 5 days a week. The best paid way to support me is through Patreon, and a Patreon link is also in the video description. A Patreon subscription will get you access to the DFG Discord and the shiny cardboard Talishar card back. At higher tiers, your name will appear in every DFG video. You'll get bonus DFG content every week, and there are even more benefits to come. Daily FaB gameplay will always be free 5 days a week, so for those who can afford to patronize me, I truly appreciate it. Now, let's talk about our sideboard and about our game plan. We got a fun one today. I have not posted, much less played, a Teklovossen game since Nom. So, when I saw Teklovossen come up on Talishar, I already knew, regardless of how the game went, I was going to post it, and luckily it ended up being a pretty good game with some lessons to learn. Teklovossen is coming up in popularity after Dromai has LL'd. He can be built to fatigue, he can be built to do aggro things. I don't know if the aggro version is all that good, but the fact that it exists means that he can take you by surprise, I suppose. We will be sideboarding as if Teklovossen was doing a fatigue plan, though we are expecting that he will want to play Singularity at some point. That said, he has a ton of armor, a ton of good defensive options, and it is very possible that he could weather the storm of our Blood Rushes and Cast Bones and ultimately just outlast us. So this starts with us winning the die roll and choosing to go first. We want to, at the very least, put a card into our arsenal. At best, we are playing that turn on Cast Bones or discarding a wind-up to make multiple mites or agilities. We will ideally be fat stacking. I don't believe I do that in this game, which we will obviously take a look at. Okay, I do. I was debating send packing and swing big in this matchup just because of how well Teklovossen blocks. Giving him Quicken is probably not all that bad, at least early on. As the game gets further on and Teklovossen gets more of his evos, there's a world where he keeps a 4-card hand and gets to play 2 of his evo bonus attacks in the same turn. Annihilator Engine, Terminator Tank, the other one. You can tell how experienced I am playing against Teklovossen, where I have such a perfect knowledge of every card in his deck. And that really is what we're worried about, though that is much later on as the game progresses and Teklovossen builds up those evos, and especially once he plays Singularity. But for the most part, we are not really worrying about damage. We're not worrying about disruption. We are playing for full offensive value. We don't need to really maximize blocking. we are trying to race Teklovossen. We're trying to kill him before he can play Singularity, but we are trying to do it in such a way where we are setting up the 5-card Agility Blood Rush or the Castbones Blood Rush, because Teklovossen's disruption is pretty minimal, especially early. If he is not able to get the overpower on his Terminator tank, then we can block it pretty aggressively. If he is pitching them to find later, or if he is blocking with them to put to load the discard for Singularity, then he isn't attacking with them. And we can take the time to set up these big turns. We can treat it like pitch stack Kayo or like Dorinthia. Very minimal aggression, very minimal disruption, and we have time to put these really big turns together. And we can submit deck and really see how we maximized our turns in this game and how we can maximize them even better in future games. So having won the die roll and going first, we really just luck sack it. I don't know that I necessarily want to attack with Mandible Claw here. It might be worth it to just have a blue in hand guaranteed for our Blood Rush Bellow. At the same time, if Teklovossen wants to give us a Command and Conquer on defense, that's totally fine. We are going to, of course, discard the windup. We get rippled away, which is pretty unfortunate. We are not going to make agility through our windup or through our cast bones. That said, cast bones is still going to make us 4 mites, putting us at 5 total. We still arsenal our Blood Rush, and we're feeling okay. You know, the ripple effect ripple away was unfortunate, but we can potentially put a very strong turn together. Depending on what Teklovossen does, which in this case, of course, Castbones also showing that we have a CNC and an E-Strike on top of our deck, which means that I am not going to play Blood Rush here. If we play Blood Rush from hand, pitch one of our blues, there is a world where we discard our second blue, we keep this Clash of Might, and we draw an E-Strike and a CNC, and our turn is just atrocious. So we are not going to play a Blood Rush here. Knowing that we have 2 reds on top of our deck is really important. What we are going to do instead is just get maximum value while keeping this Blood Rush in our arsenal. So what we'll do here is pitch our Riled Up to attack with Mandible Claw. This is going to come in for 8. We will discard our Mighty Windup to make 2 mites and give the Claw go again, and then we'll pitch Blood Rush Bellow to play Clash of Might. It isn't our most impactful turn, but it is a lot better to get this above rate damage while not wasting a Blood Rush Bellow. We would have had to have a pretty specific hand to even come up with the same 15 points of value if we played out this Blood Rush from hand, or if we risked it for the second Blood Rush in Arsenal. We really don't want to do that. That is that desperation play that we don't need to make in this matchup because we have time. As far as the pitch stacking, it is relevant in this matchup, so it is something we really want to pay attention to. Looking at this Junkyard Dog for 7, trying to maximize offensive value tells me that I should not block here. We should just take our 7, go to 33, send E-Strike with Go Again, that'll be 7, and then Command and Conquer for 6. Still holding on to our Blood Rush. We want to wait until we get Agility or some form of Go Again, which E-Strike is not the Go Again we're looking for, especially if we were to discard this Command and Conquer and maybe draw into more blues, then our turn is not looking really all that good. So I do think that we should not block this Junkyard Dog, but that is also me being inexperienced in this matchup. So what we are choosing to do instead is we are going to block 6, we'll take 1, and we get to Command and Conquer for 8, which potentially puts Teklovossen in a bad spot. But it's my inexperience in this matchup where I don't know how much I need to block early to respect the late singularity. Here we are getting value from Teklovossen, he's overblocking, and we do even win the the test of strength, so we are going to get a gold, which we will potentially use later. But still just holding on to this Blood Rush. We do have the Agile Windup in our hand. We will have a Tunic counter available, so probably going to Mandible Claw here, pitch our blue, discard Windup to give the Claw go again, Agility and Might, and then we will play the E-Strike, bottoming Clash of Agility to come in for 7. That's going to let us push maximum damage this turn, while also setting up for the 5-card Blood Rush Agility Tunic. Depending on this next hand, we have a very high chance of having an insane turn. And in case we draw a bunch of blues, we even have a gold that we can break to look for that red, maybe even a Wild Ride that lets us have a real turn. What we do instead is draw 4 reds. We should not Blood Rush here. What we should do, having all of these cards, is use our Tunic, play our Bear Fangs, and I think pitch the Wild Ride, and we're hoping that we can turn one of these 2 blues, either the CNC or the Pack Hunt, into a blue that is going to let us have a second attack. At the very least, we can Mandible Claw to follow up the Bear Fangs. Why I don't like playing Blood Rush here is that it has a chance of just drawing more reds, which is exactly what we do. So what we can do now is E-Strike, bottom the Clash of Agility, go for draw a card, and hope to find the blue that is going to let us Mandible Claw with go again, then Tunic into Bear Fangs. But again, we are really risking it. We're taking that chance, and what we do instead is, 1, waste our Blood Rush. So this big Blood Rush turn is worth 2 extra points of damage, and we let Teklovossen use his Balance of Justice, so he's going to get to draw a card, and we free him up now to use Fabricate to replace his Balance of Justice with a new Evo base. Fabricate is an incredible card in Teklovossen. It has a ton of value, but what it really does is let him take advantage of our just terrible turn, really bad turn, and it's because we went for that greedy play. So here we have Terminator Tank is coming in for 6 with Overpower. We can block in such a way that we're actually pretty okay with this hitting. We could give armor here. We could block with Smash Instinct, Bone Breaker, Leathers. We could put Flesh Bag in front of it as well if we're afraid of another one of these. That may be what we want to do. It could be that we do want to block with a Flesh Bag. My thinking, though, is that we save our armor. We put Smash Instinct in front of this. We discard our Pulping to the Terminator Tank effect, and then we just play Cast Bones. And we are taking that intellect penalty, but we are keeping a yellow in hand, which is a little better than keeping a red, considering that we are going to Cast Bones and hopefully find either we find Agility off of the Cast Bones, or we just have Wild Ride. which will give agility on its own, give go again on its own. And we keep our flesh bag, so keeping the rest of our armor too, and just have good defensive options going into the rest of this game. Cast Bones hits, thankfully. We have a Pulping and a Wild Ride on top of our deck. We would really love to have either of those in our hand as well, but we at least have the agility, and we have a Bare Fangs in arsenal that is going to let us hopefully get some draw discard into more go again. We could potentially flesh bag here just to make sure that nothing bad happens before we can take advantage of this big Cast Bones. Teklovossen has go again on the gun. There is a world where he comes in with more disruption, but more than likely he is just going to do more Evo shenanigans. I think that it is still good to flesh bag though, to really reduce the chance that something bad happens to us. We really want to make sure that this big 5-card Cast Bones agility turn happens. And with Teklovossen having the arsenal and 3 cards in hand, it's totally possible that he can still do something gross anyway. The Annihilator engine here isn't it, but it easily could have been something else. Easily could have been another Terminator tank, or the Arsenal Destruction one. Instead, Annihilator engine does just hit us for 6, and we're going to have a massive turn. Bare Fangs here guaranteed to get the +2, but we also hit the Beast Within, which is incredible for us. We can follow this up with a Wild Ride. We can also follow it up with just Mandible Claw Send Packing, which is maybe what we should do. We still have our Tunic, so we could even pitch our Yellow Wild Ride to Mandible Claw, then pitch our Pulping and Tunic to Send Packing, and try to snipe whatever is in Teklovossen's arsenal. I think that's probably what we should do. I'm really undervaluing arsenal disruption here. We can't be guaranteed, we aren't guaranteed to have Singularity in Teklovossen's arsenal. We can't put him on it, but being able to just hit the arsenal at all has a lot of value. It is just that all you got. So totally fine. We are going to play the Pulping here rather than arsenal it and just burn 2 resources. We would love to have guaranteed go again in our arsenal, but we will just use our resources as they come. Really big turn for us, and that is what it takes to just take the tempo away from Teklovossen, and we're going to keep it up here. So we put him on the back foot, we set up that big turn, kind of lucked into it after blowing a potentially very big Blood Rush turn. But we are keeping up the pressure. We're going to get to Mandible Claw Runner. We're still sitting on our Tunic. We still have a gold. So we're feeling really good about being so far ahead on life. We just have to make sure that we either keep on the pressure, or if we are going to let off the pressure, it's because we're setting up for something else. You know, this is the stacking Kano kind of deal where we really want to be setting up these big turns, and if we're going to let off, then we're just keeping in mind we are racing against the clock in a way. We're only at 29. If Teklovossen goes Singularity, we might be in some trouble. Drawing into this sort of hand is a little unfortunate. What we can do is just pitch Bare Fangs Smash Instinct to swing big and arsenal our Blood Rush. Look to still apply pressure, but setting up that next Blood Rush turn. If we can draw into a Wild Ride or a Pulping, Teklovossen doesn't have Balance of Justice anymore. So we are still advancing our game state. We don't have to have such a big Blood Rush turn to go super high over the top of a balance, but we would like to try and set something up. Here we do have 2 Wild Rides in hand, so I feel really good about Just firing off a Blood Rush. At the same time, I am checking discard. I have 2 misses left in my deck, a Cast Bones and a Blood Rush. And I believe what I'm checking for is just, can I afford to keep this Agile windup, or do I need Agility on my next turn? The other safer line we could take, of course, is to pitch Assault and Battery, attack with Mandible Claw, discard Windup to make my Agility, then play Wild Ride. Just come in for a total of 8, but set up that Might and Agility. That's probably the better play, rather than firing off the Blood Rush here, and it seems that I agree. Ending the turn with a Wild Ride rather than starting our chain with Wild Ride means that we are a lot less punished if we do hit that Cast Bones or Blood Rush off the top. We are getting our Kayo effect, and we are setting up our Agility. So feeling pretty good about what our next turn looks like. Going for the gold, potentially. Wasn't paying attention to the clash, so I do, an Agile windup. I think this is fine. We would have come in for a little more damage if we had used a Wild Ride to break gold and pitch another Wild Ride to attack. But here, just saving the gold, I think, is correct. Teklovossen doing Teklovossen things. He's going to make enough resources that he can play out another Evo. But if this card in Arsenal is Singularity, he won't have enough resources to play it. He does draw the card but doesn't have an action point. So we are going to Blood Rush here. Feeling like we're running out of time a little bit. Drawing into 2 blues. What comes next is absolutely a mistake. We can break gold here. I'm fine with breaking gold just to put a 5th card into our hand, see exactly what our hand looks like. We need to start this chain with Smash Instinct. And I don't know what I was thinking as far as why I don't do this. We do get lucky and don't discard Smash Instinct to Wild Ride. But you see Teklovossen blocks with Sink Below. It's entirely possible that Smash Instinct intimidates that out of his hand. If you have Intimidate, enough resources to pay for the rest of your turn, and Agility, lead with the Intimidate. There is no good reason not to lead with Intimidate, because there is a world where Teklovossen blocks this Mandible Claw with 2 cards from hand, and now our Smash Instinct doesn't have text. The Intimidate doesn't matter. We really want Intimidate to matter. So here, Teklovossen takes 3, goes down to 1. If we had intimidated away that Sink Below, maybe he's just dead. We do make an Agility with our Agile Wind from hand. That is going to let us play Runner for 7 with Go again. We can then play Cast Bones and Arsenal a Bear Fangs, and just try not to be dead, which we are at 26. We have 5 armor that can block on the first combat chain, and if Teklovossen breaks it, Bonebreaker and Scabskins can attack again. So I feel really good about not being dead. Going for the Bear Fangs line. Alright, this is fine, because what happens is, if Teklovossen can't exactly block this house, he just dies. So this is fine too. That feels like an okay line. Looking at our post-game stats, we did go very high over the top. 14.45 average value per turn. Not the highest I've ever had, but definitely above average and very good. And that was even with that terrible Blood Rush play. I feel like this value per turn could have been a lot higher if we'd just been a little more patient. So that's what we have to do in this matchup. Teklovossen is not going to pressure us all that much. And that means that we can afford to be patient and really work towards sort of the big, small turn cycle of setup, payoff, setup, payoff. And we had our second Blood Rush turn could have come a bit sooner. We had a blue in hand. We had 2 Wild Rides. So even if we discarded 1, we could have gone 3 chain lengths wide. but we were patient. We took the time to just set up our agility, and we had a really great turn off the back of that. And that turn did a lot to win us the game. Our Cast-Bones Bearfangs turn did a lot to win us the game because we took the time to set up these plays. So I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you learned something. If so, be sure to assault and batter that like button. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. Again, if you haven't already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription. It's free, it helps me out, but no matter what you do, catch me back here tomorrow for more daily FaB gameplay. And until then, take care.